Hello gamers! Welcome back to part 2 of our playthrough of the Castle Flipper game demo, which I downloaded from Steam. And we've got a new quest being offered to us here, Building Basics. So I hear you're into construction work. Maybe you'd like to learn some new tricks. We have a little job to do. So, if you want to help us and learn something extra, please come to the outskirts. Of course, we'll pay for the trouble. Build your first house and furnish the house. So let's go and see if we can learn. I think this means we're learning about construction. So the quest log still keeps the completed quests in it as well, because we did the ruined camp in the last episode, and yes, it's all marked as done. So let's go and take a look at building basics and learn about construction. Cool. I like the fact that each job has a picture that loads you into the game, so that you've got a new picture every time you go to a new job. Construction. You will now learn the building technique. It will be a very useful skill if you want to develop your own kingdom. Go to the green hologram and follow the directions on the screen. So yes, we guessed it right. This is where we're going to learn how to do construction. So they want us to build a small house, I think, on that plot. But I am intrigued by the area around us. So I think we'll go and do an explore first. So there's the very traditional sort of medieval building variations that are available, with the white wattle and daub walls, and then the variations of different bricks and stone that you use to build different stories. And this looks like a castle keep, so there's the entrance into the castle. So they were talking about us having our own kingdom, so this is kind of what we would have. We'd have a castle where we lived, and then we'd have a little village on the outskirts. It's kind of what I'm expecting from the description that the game gave us. So this there would be the castle, but we can't get in because we can't get through the gates. But now we've got the walkway. It's a covered walkway on top of the battlements, so that the soldiers patrolling would be kept out of the sun in the hot weather. I wonder if there's any way into the castle. There probably isn't, but I'm going to go to the end tower of the wall and see if we can get around to see any more of the castle. It's a little bit lagging in this point as I'm walking around. Maybe that's because they're not expecting you to go for a wander. So yes, it looks like there's a completely enclosed castle there that we're not going to be allowed to get inside of. And I'm not really surprised about that, because we were told to come and build in the outskirts. We can't go up the hills. So we've found the limit of the area that we're allowed into. No, I just can't get up there. Can we try where the flowers are? No, we can't. But there, look, we've got the little details of the flowers. And they're quite intricate in detail. Oh, a treasure chest. Oh, over a little lake. So is that a pond for fishing or a pond for getting water for the area? That looks like a little jetty for fishing off of, doesn't it? But it's not a big pool, so yeah, maybe they keep it as a little fish pond. Breed some fish in it, keep a little bit of fish. You couldn't fish very much out of that though, because it's such a small area, you wouldn't be able to breed many fish in it. Little rock formation. It's all the little details look like a few rocks, a little bit of water at the edge of the pond, rippling water surfaces. Lots of detail on the flowers again. Grass all moving in the wind. Lot of nice little details in it, and we've got the little like mountain area around the edge of the village, and that'll be the boundary lines. So we've got wattle and daub house and a stone house. So I've kept the sort of period building materials for the medieval era. Let's have a look inside these little sheds. Right, so this one's got hay in it for feeding animals, and there's another one of those beautiful haystacks that we saw in the last episode. Little fenced area for a field. That's looking a little bit dry and barren, isn't it? They have a water source, so there shouldn't be a need for everything to be dry and barren. End of the growing season maybe, everything's being dried out, ready to make more hay. There's our building plot again, right in the centre of the village. So let's explore in the opposite direction, see if we can find anything else interesting. It is a little bit laggy, I must be honest here. It is struggling a little bit to load these areas. Well, the well's all dried up, so we're not going to be getting any water out of that place. Which does really make the little bit of water in that pond the only water source they've got. that wouldn't be a good situation to be in for the villagers. But if they can afford to pay us to build a little house, I'm sure they can afford to pay someone to dig a well out. Right, can we get up on these rocks? Sort of, maybe not really. Okay, oh, hang on, is that a chest? Yes, that's a chest. Right, so we found 2 chests in this area as well. We found 2 chests in the last area. I don't know if that means there are 2 chests in each area to discover. Let's have a look what else we've got. So the castle there isn't a straight line, it's not a big square, you see, because we've got an outcropping along the side there. But we can't get any closer to it. It's the edge of the limits of the game area. And I'm imagining that these little hills over here are oh no, we can't even get to the little hills, that's the edge there. We hit the invisible barrier, so we can't quite get to those. Right, so I think we've explored the limit. Let's go around the back of this house, because I don't think we've been there around the back of this one. This looks really big and fancy. That looks like the biggest house in the village, doesn't it? Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else that we haven't seen now. I think we've been everywhere in the village. So just struggling a little bit to allow me to walk around, but that is the biggest house in the village, quite close to the well. So yes, I think the location they've picked for the extra house makes a lot of sense. It's quite close to the castle, quite close to the centre of town. Yeah, I think we've explored everything. I don't think there's anything that we haven't discovered, so let's go and do the actual job that they've asked us to do. So we've walked into the light and it says we need to hold tab. So we've got up a new menu here. We've got upgrade. Use this to change the appearance of the housing material. Destroy, use this to destroy items. Which means the other one must be build. There you go. So build. Use this to build. So build mode. Right, let's choose the build mode. Right, I think we need to get inside the fence here. So this one's lit up with green. They were talking about going to the green one. Right, so now we get a new menu. So we've got walls, foundations, roofs. So we need foundations for the section that we're being asked to do here, I think. So if we click on foundation, yes, now we've got the block to place in the marked location, which matches the one that's already on the ground next to it. So we pop that in, and then we're being told to put another one over here, and a final one in the back corner. I think we're going to need to go around that to be able to reach, yes. So I think that's the sections that they need. So 4 sections for the floor. So now we need to move to walls, and it's automatically doing that for us, giving us the piece we need, and then it's marking out. So right, so they don't want that particular piece in that section, but they do want it here. So we're going to be using more than one piece to build the walls, I think, by the looks of that. And they want now they want the door around the front. Press number 4. Right, so windows. So we've put 4 sections in, then the door, and now we're going to fill in the gaps with ones that will support windows. Right, so now we've got our full structure. We've got the door at the front, window at the side of it, a few full ones and a few with windows in. So that's all the walls up. So now we need a roof, which is number 5. And we then want to put that on the roof. And we have to make sure we've got it in the right orientation to make the peak in the right direction. See, there it went up in the wrong way, but as we move further around the building, it then changes its orientation, so we can put it in the right orientation. And then that's the final one, the 4th section. So now we've got the basic structure for the house. So now they want us to do windows. That's number 6. So let's do that. And again, they are the sort of windows you would have had in medieval periods, because glass was at a high premium and you only got it in tiny pieces. So it's it seems fairly historically accurate that you either didn't have any glass at all, so you had little tiny open sections in poorer houses, and then you had tiny windows in the rich houses. Right, so we pop our door in. That's number 7. And I think that's the basic elements put in. So now what we're going to need to do is to fill in all of the sections, isn't it? And it's saying press tab. So now it's saying upgrade, use this to change the appearance of building materials. So that, oops, wait, I lost that. Right, so we're given wood, plaster, smooth rock and rock. So there, those are the options. So we're going to be using wood. Press the left mouse button on any part of the structure. I feel like the best thing to do would be the floor inside, but I'm not sure we can do that from outside. Oops. Right, make sure we've got wood. Right, so we filled in the front panel, even though I was trying to fill in the floor. So I think we'll have to actually go inside the building to be able to fill in the floor. Now, can we reach where the roof is? Or will we need to do that from inside as well? Yeah, we're definitely going to have to go inside to do the wall. Wait, did I just say we'll have to go inside to do the wall? That's not what I meant. I meant we do the walls from the outside and then we'll have to go inside the building to be able to do the floors and to reach the roof sections. There we go. That's much better, Kitty. I always have a trip over some sort of word somewhere. That's how you know it's really me. Right, if we press E to interact, I think that opens the door. Right, now we're behind the door. Right. So we want to make sure we've got wood accessed again, and then we'll see if we can do the floor. Have to jump a little bit there to get inside. Let the floor sections done. And then hopefully we can reach the roof. Now that's filling in a flat roof. I hope, oh yes, it is filling in the roof section. I was just going to say I wonder if that's filled in the top of the roof, because I don't know how else we'd reach it, but it is. It's filling in the whole section, which is beautiful. Furniture. To insert the furniture, open the equipment with the L key. I key? I'm not quite sure whether that's an I or an L, we'll check that. And then select the type of furniture you are interested in. Press the icon twice to place the furniture. You can also create your own set of most frequently used items. Click on the item icon and drag it to any of the slots at the bottom of the screen. Right, so we can make our own action bars for the items we want to use multiples of, which we won't probably need to do for this particular job. So the I key and then twice to place the furniture. Okay, so let's take that. Yes, it's I. Yeah. So press I for inventory. Oh, that makes much more sense, yes. Right, so then we want a wardrobe and a chest and a bed, by the looks of it, for the 3 items. Right, so we can't click on anything but bedroom. Oh, there you go. So we've got beds, closets and cabinets. So they want one of each from the categories. Right, so we have 4 options here. Let's go for the last one, the 100 one. Oh, right, so to put it down is left mouse, to cancel is right mouse, and I pressed the wrong button there. And then to rotate is your centre mouse wheel. Right, now that presents a little bit of a problem because I don't use a traditional mouse, I use a trackball, and my trackball does not have a scroll wheel, which means that I physically can't rotate it. So what I'm going to do is press random buttons and see if there's any way for me to try and rotate it. Now let's check the little bit that we can customise. I don't think that the ability to rotate things is in there at the moment. I did see on the Steam comments that people had brought this up and that the developers said that they didn't think that would be a problem. So that, I assume, means that they do plan to put the customisation in if you don't have a scroll wheel to be able to use a key of some sort to rotate things instead. But that is not in the game demo. So I've just tried a random number of buttons and nothing does seem to rotate, so we'll have to wait and keep an eye on that and make sure that that actually gets put in the game before it gets released. But luckily we can put the furniture in a different location, so we can complete this job for them. So we put it in the back wall next to the little chest of drawers. And we did, by sheer dumb luck there, manage to pick 2 pieces of furniture that actually match colour-wise. So we just need a bed now, and then we will have completed the job. So which one do we think might match? In fact, let's just go for the first one. It's a relatively small house, and actually that doesn't match too badly. You can't see it very clearly because it's jumped straight to completed. So let's have a look at it. Yes, see, everything matches. It's all very dark, very simplistic, very rustic, but which is exactly what you would expect in a small house in a little village. And there we can try and see it from the outside. The light is shining a little bit brightly. There we can see it better there. Nice simple structure, but we have completed our job nicely for them. And that is the very first house that we built in Castle Flipper, so that's really cool. So now maybe we can go back to our own house. And as you can see there, it says that once you complete a job and go back to your own kingdom, it does automatically save the game for you. Thank you so much for playing Castle Flipper. Remember, this is just a small part of what awaits you in the full version of the game. You can still explore and start building your village. From now on, you can also save your progress. Add the game to your Steam wishlist to keep you informed about full release. So you can get it on Steam, and it's from Pyramid Games and Gaming Factory. And if we press space to continue, we can still build here in our own little kingdom area, but there aren't going to be any more jobs to do. So what we want to do now is have a little explore here and see what we can build. Right, so there you go, we can buy an extra area for 3,000 gold. We do have that amount of money, so we will do that. So you can see that the fence has been pushed backwards away from us. So we've got more space at the back. Enlarge your property. With this sign you can buy land and expand your property. So if you want to expand, you come to that little sign at the front of the building. And any future jobs, I assume, will be on that workboard. Now, my question here is, can we upgrade the building we've already got, or do we just have to demolish it and start again? So yes, now we've got a bigger fence, a more fancy fence than we had originally, and we've got more space behind where the building is. Though I do think we'll probably build in similar location. We might push it back a bit if we have to start a new house. And now there are more building options that are available in our little journal. Yes, we have some more furniture options as well, but I don't know what resources have we got. We've got 63 wood and no stone at the moment, so we are going to be a little bit limited, I think, in what we can and can't build. So I don't think we want to go too big. We will need to be a little bit careful about that. But I think we will just take everything down, because it doesn't look like we can actually click on the items to just renovate this building. It wants us to clear the space completely and go from there. We are getting a few more pieces of wood out of this. So our first build is definitely going to be a wooden structure, because all we have as resources so far is wood, and we haven't been given any information about how we can get some stone from anywhere yet. But I think it's a pretty decent little game demo, and it shows that there is great potential for the game. I do think, because it's set in the medieval period and it's fairly realistic to the style, that it's going to have an appeal to a certain section of the audience, but not to everybody. So let me know if this is a game that you yourself find appealing, or if it's one that you will probably pass on. In the comments below, let us know how you feel about it, and if you do like the look of it, don't forget to go over to Steam and wishlist it to see any future information about how the game's developing. I think we will take all the trees and things down inside now, so I think that clears the area. So that gives us the maximum number of resources that we can get inside our little space. So we've now got 77 wood, so I think it's probably time to have a little go at the build. Can we move this board? So no, at the moment we can't move the task board, but I am assuming that in the full release of the game you will be able to move it to a more central location, or a more convenient location. We are only in the demo, remember. So I think it's time to have a go at building our first house in our own property now. So we've grabbed a floor, and it doesn't seem to want to place it. I mean, the ground looks fairly flat, doesn't it? Have I done the wrong thing? Let me see. What do we... Oh, foundation. So foundations and floors are separate? Oh, is that because if you go to an upper story, you would then need to put floors in again, wouldn't you? Yes, that kind of makes sense. Oh, why is it not letting me select? Right, so you need to move the cursor further from the centre in order to be able to actually click on the foundation. Right, so we go for a 4 square, like the one we built in the demo game. And yes, you don't put floors on the ground floor, so that floor structure then is for if you want to build multiple levels. Okay, so we are learning, we're learning. Right, so we'll need some walls. Yeah, walls next. And always start with a doorway. It's always a good practice to start with the doorway. Decide where you're going to want your front door to be. Want it to be kind of near the entrance to the building plots, right in the front of the building. Then we'll take solid walls at the sides of the building, I think. So we've popped one down by the door. And then we'll go around on the sides, and so the 2 sides will be the solid wood walls. And then we want to swap to windows. Oops, I think I accidentally placed a wall in the centre. We'll have to remove that later. So we'll have windows, 2 windows on the back and 1 window on the front next to the front door. So solid walls at the 2 sides and windows at the front and back and the door on the front. So now you might diverge on how you build. You might want to place the roof on, or you might want to put the door in first, depending on your build style. I think we'll put the door in first, and then maybe that's not the correct thing. We want the door. There we go. Now we've got the door. Now we put the door in on the front, and then we'll choose window, and we'll place the windows in the front, and then 2 in the back. There we go. And see, we can't choose any of the options but wood because we don't have materials and we haven't been taught how to get them. So let's fill in the walls that we've built now. Let's go all the way around our building. That's our walls filled in. Then we'll need to open the door and go inside to place the floor. And again, we'll be using wood. See, the texture on the floors are slightly different. Oh, we put in the extra wall on the side there, didn't we? And I didn't remove it. We'll need to do that. Let's finish the floor. And let's demolish that extra wall that we didn't really need. And let's make sure that we get the right piece. I don't want to destroy the outer structure. Yay, we did it. So we have walls, we have floors, and now we will need a roof. Because it's not going to get us very far if it rains, is it? So we want the triangular roof like we had on the build project. And we need to make sure they're in the right orientation as we place them. I think it is a little bit easier maybe to place them from inside the building. So there we go, we've got all 4 sections. I think they're all in the right orientation. So now we can choose our materials. Yes, they're upgrade, it's at the bottom, right. So we have to use wood because it's the only material we've got. Fill in all 4 sections of the roof. No, don't change it, fill it in. To move a little bit closer. It didn't like it because we were too far away. And there we have our basic structure. Yay! We have our own little house. We can now have our place to rest our own heads on our own land. Super! Let's give it a little whirl around so that you can see it better. There's our house. Let's take a screenshot of our first house. Yes. I think we want a step at the front for getting in and out of the house, don't we now? Where do we find that? Under build, under... No, not under floors, under... Yes, door stairs are with the doors and windows. That's interesting, it's kind of, the bottom one is slightly buried in the floor. So maybe the floor of our ground isn't quite as flat as we thought it was. But there, we've got our steps now. So let's have a look at some of the furniture, remembering that we can't rotate at the moment because I don't have a scroll wheel. But the game developers did say that that would be something that would be available once the game comes out, so we need to make sure that that happens if you don't have a scroll wheel before you purchase the game. Should we put the bed right in the centre? I kind of like that idea. And maybe we could put some furniture at the sides of it. Oh, that's a nicer bed than the last one we did, isn't it? Oh, I like that. Right, so some sort of wardrobe-y, closet-y. That doesn't look like a traditional wardrobe, does it? That's more of a those are more traditional. It would go for one of the traditional ones. So, to be honest, if I was placing that, I wouldn't really want it in front of the window, but I can't rotate it, so we will put it in front of the window regardless. Just so we can take a look at some more of pieces of the furniture. Actually, maybe we'll rearrange. Yeah, we really can't rotate. None of the other keys do seem to work for that, so I was just double checking. Right, so there we go. So we can't rotate at the moment because I don't have a scroll wheel, so maybe we'll look at something else before we decide which ones to place, shall we? Oh, now that one doesn't seem to want to fit in our house at all, so let's try the other side. Pull it forward a bit. No, that one doesn't seem to fit into the space that we've got in our build. So maybe we'll go for the one that we started with originally. That actually looks like that could be quite good. And then some sort of cabinet. Let's try this. Let's go to the other side of the bed again. Just don't want to block all of the windows that we've put in. So I just need to move things around a little bit to make sure that they'll fit. There we go. So nothing really matches, but we're just taking a look at the different types of furniture that we can find to pop inside the house at the moment. Now we do have some kitchen furniture here, so let's have a quick look at those. So we've got benches, we've got traditional chairs, we've got some slightly more ornate fancy chairs. That's quite a fancy little chair, isn't it, there? Possibly a little bit too fancy for the house that we've got, and also there's not a convenient place to put it because I can't rotate. But that's a fairly ornate chair, isn't it? How's a simple... Oh, the simple bench is actually in the right orientation for our house, so we might go for that one. Yes. And then we could really use a little table perhaps in that area where we've now got a bench. I don't think we've really got space for the cabinets because we've only got a tiny house. But maybe when we expand we could use more things. So we want that close enough to the bench to sit on so we've got like a workspace. So there you go, that's the basic sort of furniture and things that start off in the game with. So we've built our first house and we've got an adequate amount of furniture for living inside the building. Let's pop in a second bench at this side so that we could have friends over. So there we go. I think that this is a really nice house for a starter house in a medieval themed game. So I quite enjoyed the game. Not sure yet whether it's one I will purchase when it comes out. We'll have to keep an eye on it though. So let me know in the comments if it's one that you think you might be interested in yourselves. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. From SoftKitty99, goodbye and happy gaming!